Hello, my name is Caleb Theodore, and I'll be doing my oral quality of character PowerPoint presentation on detail oriented. This is for the MCAA 530 Ethics and Sports Management course by Kent Noyes. So, to get started, what is detail oriented? We're going to be speaking a little bit more in detail on it in the further slides. Examples of detail oriented will also be included. We'll speak on the role detail oriented plays as a leader in coaching, athletic administration, and sports, as well as the conclusion, followed by a reference page. So let's get right into it. What detail oriented means? It means focuses on the task at hand. So when you're detail oriented, you are completely engaged in what it is that you're doing. There is nothing distracting you from it. There is only a start point and a finish point and everything that you need to do in between to get that job done. Focusing on the minor details is the most important part because you accumulate a multitude of tiny things and it becomes a big issue. And in this case, when it comes to doing things a certain way and focusing on a task, if you're doing everything the right way, it's going to come out as good as it can be because you're focusing on every part of that task. Another thing that detail oriented means is obsessing over the 1%. When you obsess over the 1%, you are constantly focused on that intangible. So if you think about what everybody else is doing, there's got to be one thing that's going to allow you to set yourself apart. And that 1% is what's going to allow you to stand out. When you're constantly obsessing over the 1%, you are detail oriented. Navigating in the space that most people overlook is another example of detail oriented. It's going in line and is synonymous with obsessing over the 1%. So if you think about that space that you're only in by focusing on that 1%, that one thing that nobody else is doing, you are going to grow exponentially more than the people that are not in that realm because you are doing extra every time. Detail oriented. It is the foundation for everything. A few examples of detail oriented are found in Kobe Bryant's Mamba Mentality YouTube slide, and I'll be showing that shortly, followed by Steph Curry's shooting percentage efficiency, followed by a direct quote by John Maxwell straight out of the Ethics 101 book. So we'll go into playing that slide right now on Kobe Bryant.
The idea is a very simple one, and the Mamba mentality simply means trying to be the best version of yourself. That's what the mentality means. It means every day you're trying to become better. And it's a constant quest. It's an infinite quest.
Appreciate your time. How disappointed are you?
Well, now I just hate losing. It's a tough loss. They play this shit well. We just have to get ready for the off season. Next season for us starts right now.
To reach a certain level of success in any field that you're in, you have to have an ego that's going to say, I want to be the best. This is what's going to drive me. Come hell or high water, this needs to get done, and I need to be successful. It's a choice that you have to make. How are you inspiring others, right, to find themselves? That is the ultimate championship. So
How much harder will you work in this offseason now to get back to the championship?
I push myself to exhaustion.
So that's the first video. Kobe Bryant is the epitome of greatness in sports in modern day. His current passing was extremely tragic, but to stay on topic about detail oriented, Kobe Bryant is the epitome of that. He is completely obsessed with results as far as being the greatest, having the best outcome. He's willing to do whatever it takes to make that happen. He is completely immersed in that 1% that we previously spoke on. Kobe Bryant solidified his foundation, and that became everything to build off of. And that is why he stood out from the mass majority of professional athletes that there are doing, well, the ones that are overlooking that realm. Let's go to the Stephen Curry video.
Every basketball fan knows Steph Curry's story. Around 28 to 30% of Steph's shots came in the mid-range. He would consistently look for mid-range shots, from pull-ups, off the pick and roll, and more. Watch here how he literally steps 6 inches past the three-point line. Steph would never do this now. Starting in his MVP season, though, that number dropped down to around 10%. Instead of shooting a mid-range shot, Steph would either look to step back to the three or find a way to the bucket.
But now, relishes.
Either way, he doesn't really settle for a less efficient mid-range shot anymore. He really embodies the whole trend of basketball becoming a three and layup game. This is also partly why he's become so good at step backs. Why shoot a mid-range pull-up when you can get the defender off balance, step back to the three, and shoot almost the same percentage? He's also shot less and less at the rim each year. His rookie just over 40.
So that's Steph Curry's video on shooting percentages. What it's basically saying is that in the beginning of his career, he would take shots that were less efficient, and that was causing him more effort. Over his career, as we all have known, he's won a few championship titles, and the reason he's one of the best shooters in the world is because he was able to focus on that 1% that was allowing him to stand out and be the greatest shooter that there is in basketball current day. He was detail-oriented. Everything that he did allowed him to be where he's at now. If it were not for that 1%, Stephen Curry would not be as great as he was, and neither would Kobe Bryant. Going into John Maxwell's quote from Ethics 101, it says here, page 49, if you have the book on you, God is in the details. You could also say ethics is in the details. Having God as the focal point behind everything, as far as your moral compass goes, is a great foundation to build off of. And when you include him in everything that you do, it does set you apart from the crowds. We live in a world where there is sin, and it is very easy to do the wrong things and to go against the grain, per se, in the wrong sense. What Maxwell's saying here is that with God behind you, you're going to be able to do a lot more the right way. So let's get into the last few slides here. The role of detail-oriented coaches is to maintain rapport, model excellence, accountability as far as being held accountable for your actions as a leader and the actions of your athletes at all times. Adding a 1% to everything that you do every single day, whether it's on your personal time as a coach, trying to better yourself, or better your team, better your program, improve something in some realm by adding 1% daily. Practice being the best version of yourself that you can be. Going into the next point is mentorship and feedback. You want to be willing to accept any criticism that's coming your way. You should be able to welcome that feedback and work with it to make yourself better. To be honest, if you're able to do that, you would be adding a 1% almost instantly. The role of detail-oriented sports admin is to serve as liaison to athletic director and maintain rapport with nonprofit community service organizations. The 1% in that would be scheduling seasons in advance, ordering your gear for the next season in advance, and also being able to establish those connections through your community. It's not just being there. It's doing more than just being there. Going on to the next slide is position athletes to graduate on time by staying in communication with students, academic advisors. There should not be one athlete left behind. Problem solve all academic issues as soon as possible. That is the role of a detail-oriented sports admin. As a college athlete, I understand that not every administration staff on hand is going to provide your athletes with those services because I struggled in undergrad. As a role, going to the next slide, role of detail-oriented sports leaders, it is their job to be advocating all minorities in sports, the LGBTQA plus community, athletes of color, raising awareness through fundraising and having guest speakers of those communities so that way athletes can identify with those things, and also using their platform to reach a larger group of people, giving back to the community and making an impact. In conclusion, as a leader in coaching, sports admin, it says here in Proverbs 16:20, whoever gives heed to instruction prospers, and blessed is he who trusts in the Lord. Attention to detail separates average from greatness. Doing the 1% equals success. When you navigate in a space that many overlook, you begin to separate yourself from the crowd and you begin to stand out everywhere. Thank you all for your time.